the amount of ground I had that was completely unproductive. And if you want to grow your farm, you want to make sure you have as much productive land as possible. Now that's not so much of a problem on maps like this, because when you look at it, there's lots of between the fields land which costs nothing. So this is 0 cost, and the fields themselves are the defined, this is 9.25 acres, and it's pretty much 9.25 of workable ground. If we go over here, this is 3.53 acres, but it's covered in trees. So if you want to do tree stuff, then that's a good thing. This land here, you've got workable field, but you've also got all these trees along here. So if you don't want to do forestry, I wouldn't suggest you buy this land, because it's going to be, part of it is not usable for income. Again, here, this is forestry, so just buy it because you want to do forestry, not because it's a big amount of land. But land that you don't get income from is a little bit of a waste. Kind of like Oak Glen Farm as well. If we go back to there, this is Oak Glen Farm. Oak Glen Farm is all of this land, and it's going to cost you $122,000. If you want to do pigs and chickens, yay, good plan. And if you want to store your equipment, you can. But as a single purchase, a piece of ground, it's a very bad idea, because you can't harvest anything on it. You might be able to cut some grass around here, but that's all you can do with that piece of land. If you buy land that you can do production on, then it's going to be income next year, and the year after, and the year after that. So buy productive land when you can. Buying fields for sheep isn't going to be directly productive, and quite frankly, sheep are not a lucrative business to be in, at least not initially. I think we're going to do fairly well after this year, because we'll be selling about 750 sheep per year, and now that is going to make a difference to our bank balance. Let's have a look at that. Values. Now we have Dorset sheep, so about £350 per sheep will be, actually we might be selling them for more than that. Again, not sure. But if you're selling 700 times, let's say 400, then 700 times it's about 300,000 a year from sheep, which is good, I think, or better. And you still get the wool, but you have to feed them for the rest of the year. But just producing wool's just horrible. It's really not particularly valuable. With 500 sheep, we're producing tons of the stuff, but the income per pallet, it's just laborious. There is so much driving wool to the to the yard, to the store. Now I do have a mod added that allows me, I think it's going to allow me to place a 64,000 litre wool crate on the spawn point, which is going to make job easier this year. The problem we had last year was I had to move wool pallets pretty much twice a day, once in the morning when I got up and once in the evening, and I had to find somewhere to put them. because it's, from the beginning of the spring, it's not the best time to sell wool until towards the end of spring. So you store them around for early and mid-spring, and then you sell them, and you're just constantly moving four pallets at a time per field. And with Farm Sim's physics on stacking stuff, not really friendly. So hopefully with a 64,000 litre pallet, I might not go that big, I might just go 16,000 litres, which might work out at about one day, move one per day. Well, I'm still going to have to buy a fair few of them in order to hold that capacity. But then we'll but yeah, the value of wool's just bad. Breed rate of sheep is quite good. We get, I think, a little over 100% increase in flock size. It might be wrong, and we'll be paying attention this year because it's so easy. So we'll be able to see, as I said, we've got 250 sheep per each field, and each field will hold up to 500 sheep. So basically, if we end up with capacity reached on the fields, then we know we're producing more than 250 sheep per field. I might split them out if we can afford the new field. So we've got 500. 500 doesn't divide by 3 very well. We'll definitely do a sheep census just before we sell them. I think they breed through winter up to the end of early spring. So once we reach that point, we'll have a clear idea of how many sheep we ended up with. And come the middle of winter, when we're not doing anything else on the farm, there will probably be a lot of sheep movements going on, where I'm relocating sheep between each field, just to spread out the flock. So the idea is I think the top field by the farm, I'm going to move all the adult sheep out of that one, because I'm still not sure I don't know if I fixed the glitch with the pasture being able to be grazed by the sheep. I think I have, but I'm going to put all the young sheep up there, so as the other field starts breeding young sheep, we'll transfer them up to the top Oakfield farm field, just because they can't produce any more, so we can effectively push that field to capacity. And we should end up in the lower fields, we'll have 250 breeding sheep or breeding age sheep, and anything over 500 baby sheep that we weren't able to put in the top field. That's kind of the plan, but that does mean we're going to be moving about 500 sheep over winter in a trailer that can move about 10. And we can't use the big one that moves hundreds, because frankly that won't maneuver itself too well. What options do we have on animal transport? So that one moves sheep 10. That one moves 21. No, that's piggies, that's sheep. 24 sheep. But difficult to get in and out of fields. That moves 38. Again, difficult to maneuver. This thing moves 12. And there's also a livestock trailer. I think that goes on the back of a man truck. And that moves 12. Oh, you can move horses in that one. But that moves 12 as well. Animal swap, body, animal transport swap. That moves 20. That's good. That moves 28. So these things might work for us if we... and I think the problem is with that is those go on the back of this truck. So you've got the XL and XLX. I think the big body goes on either that one or that one, but they're 100,000. I can't justify buying a truck for 100,000 just to move 30 sheep at a time. As I said, ours will move 12, but if you're moving 200 or 500, then that's 50 trips, not quite. 42 trips up and down that lane, so gonna be interesting. But once we've done that, the sale of them is going to be painful. Once we get to selling 750 a year, we might end up just saying we'll pay for someone else to transport them, because frankly I don't have the time to move 750 sheep in my own trailer and maximise the income from it. We had about 72 bales in here, so we're getting through them, as I said. This is actually the best tractor I've got to do this job, because running around with the wrapper is it's got a good hitch on it. I mean, it's a lot of freeboard movement there, so I can make use of the four-wheel steering, which on things like the baler just doesn't work, because they're hitched too close to the tractor. The tractor can outsteer most of what I attach to the back of it. However, the four-wheel steering does come into its own when you're parking stuff in tight spaces. Sounds like Teenage Osa's making herself some lunch. I don't know. When I was a kid, we used to have breakfast when we got up. So typically around 8 o'clock at a weekend. That was breakfast time. Then lunch was sort of 12:30, 1 o'clock. And then supper would be about 6, 7 o'clock. Our kid gets up at 9 o'clock, has breakfast, and then 3 hours later, or 2.5 hours later, she's having lunch. And then it's like 5 o'clock. Oh, I'm getting hungry. Well, yeah, not surprised you haven't eaten for 5 hours. But those of us who have lunch a little bit later, like 12:30, 1 o'clock, I'm not looking for lunch until about 6:30, so I'm just very hungry by that point. Don't do that, thank you. So how are we doing? It's impossible to tell. So anyway, this is our field. That was the grass field. That's our field. That's the one we had sugar beets in. I'd like to get this field, I think. So, yeah. I don't think that's too big to afford this year. 31 might be possible. But the access might be from 28, so I'm going to have to drive around here and see how to get into some of these fields. Down here, we know 19's a good field, but you have to drive all the way up to here and then come back down to get to both of these fields. But they are... This one was contract field on the original map. Now that we're using the farming agency map, there are far more contracts. I haven't looked at contracts lately, but again, I don't track the contracts until we're at a point where I'm not doing stuff on my own fields. I prefer to harvest my crops than get paid to harvest someone else's, because my crops are a direct benefit to me, obviously. Contracts are there. Transporting, baling, sowing, cultivating. See, we've got cultivating and fertilizing contracts coming up. I am not seeing any harvesting contracts. That's another thing that might be a problem. And that kind of worries me. You know, if I go and buy these fields, well, these fields, that one's probably still coming up to harvest this year. This one looks like it's already been planted for next year, and this one looks like it's already been planted for next year. So I don't want to buy them, because I've got no control over A, what that crop is, and what the soil content is. I'm going to have to drive around this field and scan the soil and put lime on a crop that's already planted. I don't think you're supposed to do that. So maybe we live with the lime content as it is, but then that's probably zero and going to badly affect the yield of the field. So I'm buying a field that I know is going to have a really bad yield. So if I can get a field that's just been harvested or whatever, then that would work out better. FarmSim 22 is going to be interested on that count as well. Because sort of reading between the lines on what Giants have said, if you're playing with seasons on FarmSim 22, the best time to sell a crop is just before you harvest it. So I harvest wheat in November. I'm going to have to wait till October next year to sell that wheat at the best price. So I'm going to have crops sitting around in my silos for 11 months before I can actually make money out of them. At least with the seasons mod here, we have to wait till just after Christmas Day. So New Year probably is the best price. Translating season numbers into the best price to sell is here. And I would say this is sort of the 20th of December to the 20th of January, 20th of January to the 20th of February. So call that January, call that February, call that December. Something. January, February, March. So we start January, February, March, then you go April, May, June, September. So the best time to sell is January, February. But that's not long to wait. That's not like having to wait until, you know, we harvested our sugar beets 2 days ago, or 2 days ago, early fall, we harvested the sugar beets, but we would have to wait till late summer, which is what, August, before we can sell them in Farm Sim 22. That's tough to have, you know, something you're counting on not available for 10 months. Teaches you to wait. Or maybe you take out a lot of short-term loans. You take out a loan based on, I'm going to get X amount from my sugar beet harvest, and I can buy some stuff. I could be doing that now, for example. I could say, well, I'll just take out a loan, buy a couple of fields, and it's full, so I can prepare them. I can take the little soil scanner out, scan the soil. I can add lime. I can add manure, and then once that's done, we can plant something when the best time to plant it happens, and we'll pay back the loan in January when we sell the crops from this year. But what happens if I don't make as much as I borrowed? Then I'm going to be carrying debt into the next year and having to pay for that all through the year. Yeah, it's a choice. I usually avoid debt as much as possible, and it's really a case of, okay, look, I've got a field of potatoes, I don't have any potato harvesting equipment. Well, maybe what I can do is I can borrow some money, buy the harvesting equipment, harvest the potatoes, sell the potatoes, and pay off the loan. But still, it's going to be a while before I sell the potatoes in order to have money to pay the loan. Too much debt will kill you. I think I did that in 17. One of the achievements was to go bankrupt. And I was stupid. I borrowed all the money I could. I bought some land. I bought some nice equipment. I sold the starting equipment, and then realized that my income rate wasn't enough to cover the cost of that nice equipment. Yeah, it was sort of, I'll go out and, I need a harvester. So, which harvester should I get? Oh, how about that one? So I need to borrow money to buy that one. I've got a couple of small fields, and I don't have the crops to warrant having that. So it's like on here, we've got the small the small Fendt. The grain tank's about 8,600 litres and a 25-foot header. It's adequate for all of the crops we do. In fact, we could justify having a bigger one, but I don't feel any pressing need to replace it right now. So that's kind of a good, that's a good practice. Is that a bale over there or a shadow? Or a piece of mist? Clover. Okay. Guess what we're going to do? We'll unload that. Nudge that over. Oh, that could be tree shadows. Yeah. Rendering distance can be a problem sometimes. Anyway. Go back over here, and we are nearly done with this job, so that's a good thing. But watching, you know, I'm kind of thinking, watching what the other farmers are doing with their fields right now, I may just say, I've got to buy the fields before they start planting them, because if I don't, then I'm going to be I'm either going to have to accept a very bad yield next year on the fields that I do buy, or I'm going to have to accept, I'm going to have to be proactive about it, or I sit on the money for a year. We end up selling all our crops. We quite possibly make £1 million from all of the crops this year, but nothing to spend it on until next fall or next summer when they start harvesting. Just grab fields as they're harvested. I don't know. I'll think on that this week and figure out a best plan. Don't think I've actually missed anything. So there's these two here, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more. I'm glad this thing does work on Clover. So it's 10:30 now. I can probably run this wrapper down to the other clover field. Or should I leave it here? Well, I don't know. I don't know. I need to make some decisions. So I think first things first, we'll take the slurry equipment up to the next field that we're going to do that on. Then I'll run the mowing equipment down to where that needs to be. And I need to figure out what to do with this thing. Well, is it worth it? I could take the truck down to the BGA and pull out the last of the digestate. That might be a plan. No. Okay. I think I've just got 2 more to wrap. So we'll be done momentarily. Squeak. Oops, back up. I didn't realise we were that close to the other bale. Okay, that's all done. As I said, I think it would be nice to clear these trees out. However, I might need the lumberjack mod or the delete object mod. The problem I have noticed, the problem with the delete object mod is if you delete something, if you're a long way away from it, you can still see it. It's only at render ranges, close render ranges, that it actually remains disappeared. Okay, fold that up.